Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Drama to Dharma. That was a little clip of beautiful music just to help ground us for tonight's conversation and to welcome the angelic realm. We're going to be answering questions. Gabriel's going to be here with us as he always is, so I want to invite him here now. Drama to Dharma is a show that I've had going on, if you haven't joined us, for the last about 2.5 months. And so the conversation tonight is actually the title. Part of it, half of it is the title of the show because there's a lot going on in the world. So we are looking at, do you have, the question that was posed out is, do you have drama in your life? And if you do, maybe you can ask questions, or we can talk to Gabriel about how can we bring dharma into our daily life when we do have drama in our life. So we're going to talk about just the bringing in the dharma, bringing in the Zen. And through that, Gabriel said the conversation tonight should be titled The Language of Enlightenment, because he wants us to talk tonight about words and how critical they are right now and how important they are. And when he says language of enlightenment, basically he's going to share with us language from the angelic realm. Basically, there's different. We're going to talk about different types of languages from the angelic realm. So I'm excited to hear about that and to talk about that further. So, but for right now, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Josie Herndon, and my name's right there in purple and white. If you haven't joined us before, welcome. And for those of you who watch us every week, I just want to thank you so much. I saw the comments already from Wendy, Joe, and Rebecca who watch us, and I'm hoping that we will have some questions from you guys. We also have our friends that are here in the green room that will be asking us questions. So I want to welcome everybody that's here. And just thank you again for joining me and for joining this conversation. That's what this show is. It's pretty much a conversation show where I ask for interaction from the audience. I'm not a typical show where I have a script. Everything is, I pray for my intuition to come before my show, and Gabriel and the archangels are here, and we just kind of go from there so that it's not really pre-planned at all. This is not my story as much as it is that I can help relay messages from the angelic realm. And I've been doing that for many years. And right now, particularly, is a great time to do it. This morning, I'll just be frank. I mean, because this is a frank show, an honest show. I really thought, I almost texted Deb and said, can we skip tonight? Can we just skip one show? I was really tired and kind of depressed and just not feeling, And then Gabriel said, when I want to skip the show is the night when we really have to do the show. So that was my cue, and I said, of course, yes, let's do it. And then that's when we came up with the topic, and he's gonna be helping with that. So I just want you to know that I don't know if I'm the only one out there right now feeling this heaviness in the air, I don't think so, because many people I'm talking to are feeling it, because we have gone to where we were moving forward and starting to do things, going to hair appointments, things like that. And then I'm in Southern California. I'm here in the desert. So this little bit of this is like the sun right there. I mean, it's like probably 110 out there. It's almost 8 o'clock at night. So I'm in Palm Desert. So that gets to me too. The heat this time of year is something. But we were already looking forward to. I was looking forward to going out and doing a few things, carefully, of course, social distance and everything. And then now in Southern California, they're shutting us back down. Basically, they shut down most businesses again. That's been tough on small business owners, and I'm a small business owner, so I understand that. So yeah, there's a lot. There's this week has been a big week for us, and personally, again, something that hit me this week was the burning of Gabriel's church. I mean, the St. Gabriel's mission activists. I don't know who they are. I don't really watch the news, but my husband shared with me, and then I looked it up, and it really broke my heart to see that, because that's where I would go and write sometimes, and that's where Gabriel's mission. So I asked him. I said, "Oh, Gabriel, what's going on?" I started feeling, like something was happening that I wasn't. I don't know, that I just wasn't in alignment with, for sure. And he said that it's okay. The we all have our beliefs. Not everybody, of course. There's our religions are different than our spiritual practice, he's saying. And of course, religions are beautiful, and those are what we know from our culture and our upbringing, and they are who we are. And that's how so many of us connect to God and connect to spirit. But our spiritual self, he's saying, if we're in alignment with who we truly are right now, especially while we're home and we're not able to go to church, people are kind of disconnecting from the churches anyways, just because they're not going. But then for the ones who are, count on it to get their bread of life, basically, they rely on going to church. And I did for many, many years, and still love going to church. But, it's difficult when we can't go to church. And for those who want to go to church and can't, because that's where we go and feel our peace. And I know we're getting, as much as we can online, but some people don't have computers and so forth. So he said, basically, it's bricks and mortar. It's the church, and he loves the church. Of course, it's 250 years old, and he's like, well, everybody, that's his church that's named after him, and they have his everything there. But he said, and it's after him, the archangels. And he said, but those are just material things, that they can come back. The church can be rebuilt. The cross is still standing. And noticeably, whenever churches are burnt down, I usually notice that the cross is always standing. And that makes me feel very comfortable, because I believe in my heart that is confirmation that it's going to be fine. That symbolically, Gabriel's saying it's like ashes to a new person. We're all evolving. This is all a new time. Somebody had a question. My friend Chris had a question and asked the other day. He said, "Do you think it's the end of the world?" And I said, "Well, the way I was raised, I could literally do a checklist from the, end of the Bible, as it sure seems like we're checking off a bunch of stuff in Revelation." For those who, have read the Bible, but for even other books and other spiritual, just. But Gabriel says no, that it's the end of the world as we know it, basically, and it happens every 100 or so years. It's happened throughout history, where things change quite a bit through either a pandemic, war, just where if you look at history, there's always been violence, and but there have been fewer people. There hasn't been social media. Now we have the most humans that we've ever had on the planet. And we have social media that we can find out exactly what's happening at any time, and the news, and that can kind of exacerbate our awareness as well. And that's why he chose the topic tonight of language and words, and how important it is. He said the words that we use when we're speaking to each other, that we should try to, he encourages us to use words of kindness, words of love, and again, to look at the world through the eyes of God. Ask to see the world through the eyes of God in the morning during your prayer, and or through the eyes of Source, through the eyes of your eternal being. So when you're connected with your eternalness and you can see the world through that lens, then those words will come forth from your mouth, he's saying. So those are the words to use. He says it's better to not say any words than to say words that will be hurtful to each other, especially right now, because everybody is very sensitive for many reasons. Being quarantined in homes for 3 months for many people was so difficult that it's like, because we're not, as humans, we're not meant to be locked up. We have things to do. We have things to do, whatever they are. We have things to do, whether it's to go and sit in Starbucks and do something on our computer, whether it's to go in the office, whether it's whatever it is. We are humans and we evolve. So we haven't felt that we are evolving when we are at home. And then now again, we're, thinking, oh, we can go out a little bit. And now they're saying, no, you have to go back in. So as humans, we're going like, this is not what we're used to. Although some humans do, and the ones who are at home a lot, they're fine. But even those humans are like, okay, wait. At least I had the choice where I could go and do something. So, and of course, we're doing, all of this for the greater good, so that we don't spread this pandemic. I don't, want to. This is not a political opinion or anything like that, which is strangely turned into a conversation political, but I'm talking about this from the spiritual realm. So when you're, right now you're viewing the show, you're listening because there's a reason. You want to get these messages, you want to hear this, you're seeking it. So that's why I feel comfortable, of course, sharing with you, what they're wanting me to say. And what that is again, when you're speaking to each other, try to come from a place of divinity when you can. Especially if it's somebody that you're not quite sure what to say, or there might be harsh words in the past. Don't say anything. Of course, we already know that image, but he's saying, especially right now, to try and maybe find words of kindness to say. Find somebody doing it right. And these were typical ways that we lived, he said 3-4 months ago. But since this shift in the pandemic and all of the things, people, the humans, he says, are in fear right now. And especially, I felt shook up when I saw the church burnt. And he said, so a lot of people, even their religious beliefs are now being questioned. And he wants to remind everybody not to react in anger, because anger, you know, and then more anger is not two angers do not make a peace, you know. So if we're going to try to be the light, he says, we can try, we can be the light. He said, not even try. He said, we can be the light for those around us. And that's why he said the language of enlightenment. And the angel that we have up there on the corner is a statue that I took a picture of from Mexico City up at the Basilica. And it's Uriel, and he's the archangel of enlightenment and justice. And he had a dove on his head the whole time I was taking pictures of him. So that was pretty cool. But Archangel Uriel is the angel who brings light. And so you might want to call on him sometimes and pray, Archangel Uriel, please bring me light and bring me the words of enlightenment. And he will then help you remember the words that you should be saying to bring light. He will give you the words to bring light to each other. Just like we're talking about right now, he's saying just even saying it and looking at light. And he says any kind of light. It could be the light of a candle. It could be the light from the opening the curtains. But it'll invite the light and the enlightenment and the elevation of our being, and then we can share that with our fellows. They're saying with our with our neighbors, with our families, with people in the grocery stores. Right now we have masks covering our face everywhere we go. And so that's interesting too, because I don't have a mask with me, but I do have my fan because I'm always a little hot. So, this is how we're living our life right now. This is who we see. We see our eyes. So he says it's important right now that people don't see us, that we speak and give eye contact. Because if we give eye contact, at least when we're speaking to people, then they will be able to relate to us. And I've noticed that too. So, try to give more eye contact when you're speaking to people and use words of kindness, because this barrier that is between us and everybody else right now, because of safety, is also keeping us from saying even words, because we feel they're saying because the muffling too. When I was on the phone with somebody today and I had my mask on and they couldn't understand a word I was saying, and then I realized, oh, I have my mask on, and they were saying, oh, no wonder. So it's almost like we forget, and so it's kind of a new reality. So for to help uplift each other during these times of uncertainty and fear, he's just encouraging us to say, to speak deliberately when we're speaking to each other, because when you're at the grocery store or any place you can be with the teller, she's scared too. So just say something nice and funny that kind of sounds a little normal or something, and then give her eye contact. And he's saying that will help just uplift possibly that other human, and then that person will pass it on to the next one. Because I've noticed that being out there now, people are guarded. And that's a nice way of putting it. Some people are rude right now. Mm. And I know I am too. So words, sometimes okay, so here, great, a question. Carly Howard. Hi, Carly. It is the end of the world as we know it, but I agree a lot of this worldly stuff is from the book of Revelation. How does Gabriel say we should view all of the crazy biblical stuff that is every day in our face? Does Gabriel have an idea for a crusade that we Christians can take up? Oh, okay, very good, very good. So what he's saying about the book of Revelation and the prophecies is that definitely you can do a checklist, because a lot of the stuff are coming to fruition that are in that book. However, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means it was the end of that vision. It was the end of that prophecy, right? So now we have new prophecies. We have a new world coming. So just, knowing that things are changing, they're shifting. Christianity and spiritual beliefs will not change. They cannot change. And the word crusade, he says, brings up crusaders. And that was a time in our history as Christians, if you're a Christian, but just in history in general, where there were a group of men and women probably, but mostly men back then, they were considered crusaders, and they killed a lot of people that didn't believe in their belief. So he's not encouraging more warfare over the God's name, because he says that in the name of spirit and higher self and God, to do things that are not going to be bringing positive light to the world is not really what God wants. That's not what Christ would do. So he's saying if you're a Christian, you would look at, instead of reading the book of Revelation, he said you would read the other books in that New Testament, and you would read the words that are in red, that are written by Jesus. And those are the words, and you would meditate on those words and pray on his words and say, I want to live, just like they said, what would Jesus do, right? So he's saying to live the way that Jesus would live right now. So he got angry once, he's, in the stories in the book, but if you're going with the biblical, and that was the question about all the stuff, he says, it's probably not a good idea to focus right now on that, the revelation, because those are possibly, more than likely the times a lot of those things are happening, because again, but it's happened again over and over several times, but where there are pandemics and all these changes in the world. So focus on the light and focus on what his words would be in a positive light. And he says that about the Kabbalah, he says that about the Quran, all of the spiritual books that are written from the past. When you're reading them, focus on the enlightened words, and then you will be able to continue your day and your nights and your dreams in the angelic realm, in the beautiful realm. Because sometimes right now with fear, then anger comes, and anger is not necessarily going to help. And I know for some people, they say, well, we should be angry. Okay, then be angry. But when you're ready to not be angry and you're ready to be who you truly are, the kind, loving person that you know you are, then that's when you can use some of these techniques. So, we all we're humans, so we're going to do whatever it is, with our free will that we feel in our heart and soul to do. And anger sometimes is going to be part of that, but not when it comes to hurting each other and or killing each other. Then that's when it's not in the way that God would want it to be. um, and that's when we're being pulled to the same place as that person that we're angry at. So in other words, he's encouraging us to kind of take the higher road, right? And sometimes we go right there with it. And I know I do. I get angry. I get sometimes I get some I'm like, oh my god. And then, but at that particular moment, I'm obviously not like in alignment with Gabriel, and I'm not doing channeling, and I'm not sitting in this corner of the house. I'm sitting somewhere else. But and then and then I'm like, I don't like this angry feeling. So then I pray and I try to, but he says we're human, so of course we're going to experience everything. We're going to experience all the emotions right now. And if you're angry, get angry and then be done with it. If you're sad, cry your eyes out and be done with it. He says, feel those emotions and then try to move back into the place of who you truly are. And that's that beautiful, kind person. Because to him, he sees all of us as beautiful human beings, because we all have that in us. It's just right now, a lot of different parts of us are coming out. So, and that's okay, he says. There's no right or wrong, but it's who you want to be. And that's where you could make that conscious decision and try to maybe do a little bit more of that each day. But there's no judgment. If you catch yourself being angry, that's okay. Just, okay, I'm done with that. And now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to, try to be joyful or kind, like we were talking about. Just do something kind. Random act of kindness, like they say. So we can do that. That always feels great. So all of those tools that you've used or that they may sound a little mundane right now. They may sound like, okay, we've tried that, but no, just try it again. He says, keep doing it. Keep doing whatever it is that's going to uplift you and also uplift your fellows that are in your community and in your home as much as possible. And he's reminding, of course, if you feel angry, get the anger out. If you feel sad, cry, and then get back into your alignment. So thank you so much for that question, Carly. Oh, Renee. Hi, Renee. Let's see. Do the world events point to the second coming of Christ? Well, let me take this one. Again, that's back to the revelation. And depending on your belief and what you read and what you believe, if you read the Revelation, and Revelation says this, it doesn't quite say that, he says, so then you might want to read it again, but he's saying it does not say necessarily that when these things are done, then Christ will come. They're saying that these things will happen because it was a prophecy that they saw, and that's why things that you read from old books, if you're seeing them happen now, those were possibly visions that were written. The second coming of Christ is basically what he says is Christ is always here. He's here. So right now, when people say the second coming of Christ, again, it's back to that, are we at the end of the world? And we're saying, Gabriel's saying, it's the end of the world as we know it, but that things are going to keep evolving. So he is encouraging us right now to focus on each moment and each day. And the topic today, is that. So to answer the question, he's saying it does not necessarily mean, because I know that as a Christian, I was raised with that the second coming was coming, and I was ready. I was always ready. So I was excited. It's like when I first read Revelation when I was like 14 or 15 in my church school, I actually got excited. I was like, oh yes, I can't wait, oh, this is great. So I didn't even get scared. And people were like, why aren't you scared? I said, well, because, you know, that means that it's almost over and we're going to go to heaven. So, my goal is always like, how am I going to get to heaven and stay there? So if in fact that's what he wants us to feel that way. He's like, if we think that the end of the world is here, or that the second coming of Christ, basically when I was a child, what was revealed to me is that the second coming of Christ and the end of the world is when you die, basically when you transition. So I had to learn that. It's like I could fall off of a truck or whatever, get hit by a bus. I didn't live in the city, but somehow I could get hit with the bus and then not be here 1 minute to the next. And that was my last day on earth during this lifetime. So it can happen. Especially right now with the pandemic and all of the things, there's so many people that are dying or transitioning and getting sick, that really we should be focusing on life and what we can do to contribute to our planet right now and to one another, rather than he's saying focus on, is the second coming, is this the end of the, because then he says you're not living in the now, you're basically waiting for something else to happen. And he says everything is right now within us already. Everything, we have it, we have all of it. And we don't want to miss all of that by focusing on something that could happen, like another thing. He says right now we should focus on our life here on earth each day, and he's encouraging us to just do whatever we can to elevate each other during these times, and again to seek enlightenment, or enlightened words, light, elevation, light. So I hope that answered your question, because I know a lot of people are asking those things right now. And of course, because just from what I was raised with, I have asked those questions myself, and he keeps bringing me back to right now. Especially when I saw the church burn, I was like, oh my God. Okay. Let's see. How do use enlightenment and words to help us arise above COVID? Okay, how do we use enlightenment and words to help us rise above the COVID? Rise above the COVID. Really, it's coronavirus, the COVID-19. It's a virus that is spreading rapidly through the planet, and it's a virus that people don't know much about. Okay, so to rise above the COVID, to rise above the COVID is to rise above everything. So when you have an intention during your meditation to elevate your spirit, he says, then you can visualize yourself being above the virus, above it, because he's very specific. You ask, how do we use enlightenment to rise above the virus? The virus is here. If you want to know how to use enlightenment to protect yourself from the virus, he says that you do the things that you can as a human. I mean, the virus is a human condition. So it is a physical anomaly. There's a difference. There's our physical bodies and our spiritual self. When we're in alignment, somebody who's in alignment will still get the coronavirus, somebody may not. Okay, because he says there's only so much that they can do because we are in the physical realm and they are in the spiritual realm. So he suggests that enlightenment to rise above the virus would be not to even give it any energy. The best way would be is to take it out of your vocabulary, like I had to do the last several weeks, and just focus on enlightenment. So if you want to focus on enlightenment, don't say the words of the COVID, or just try to take that away. But he's also cautioning that it is a virus, that is a physical virus. So take precautions and do anything you can to raise your immune systems, because that can rise above the virus, your immune system. You can certainly pray energetically for energy in your body to be healed and to continue the healing. I did not, but then again, I shouldn't say, but so far I haven't gotten the virus and I've been around it. But I don't know what that means. I just I try to be very careful, but I do pray and I do my meditations and I take vitamin shots every week. The vitamin they're called Myers cocktails, but that's been helping me with energy. It has all the vitamins that are suggested for the virus. So I do those things because I have a physical body, and that's what Gabriel says. There's only so much they can do when I have a physical body. If I load my body with sugar and fat, then I'm going to be all sugary and fatty, if I load my body with other things. So, yes, exactly. There's no, as in no body. Can you put that back up? I think Dr. Ray is saying something about we're all going to transition at some point. So we are going to, nobody gets out of here alive but our souls. That's true. So our physical bodies are they only last so long. They're like coats, right? So the more that we can connect with our eternal self and our soul, then we're just going to remember that everything's going to be okay. When we can look at it from a place of eternalness, then we know this is temporary. And our physical bodies may get the coronavirus, our physical bodies may get cancer, our physical bodies may, again, same thing, get hit by a bus. So, to really, it's your relationship with your spiritual self and your intuition that is going to help you to realize that you're good, you're perfect, because we're here right now. Gabriel's saying, if we can focus on this moment right now, 7:34, or 7:35 my time, and know that, look at ourselves and say, okay, we're here, we're physically here, I'm breathing, you know, um, I'm healing. If I'm sick, I'm healing. Put a mantra together or a thoughts that you're healing. Your body is healing as you speak, because we've had a lot of illness in my family right now, and I've asked people to pray for my family. And so, we've just visualized that our loved ones are healed if they're ill. And then, but he's saying, stay in this place where we are right now. It's been very difficult for me because I've had many loved ones. My husband, who has cancer, and, there's always something or another that's coming up every time we think we're just about done. He actually had gotten the COVID as well. So, I mean, I've been dealing with this as a care provider. And I feel blessed that I haven't gotten it, and that I'm able to be a care provider, and that I'm able to do these sessions and to do my business, because I'm also a treatments. I own a small business, a medium business. I don't know how you determine what size of business is, but when you own a business, it's all you do. So whether it's big or small or not. But we are just physical while we're here. We're here to do the best we can. And it's true that we are all going to pass at some point. Of course, we all know that already. We know that. We see it all the time. We have family members that have. We recently we're witnessing it all day long. But we want to focus on that we're here now and what we can do to help each other and check in with each other, because a lot of people are suffering at home that haven't been checked on, like called or texted or whatever. So if you get an intuition to call or text somebody that you haven't in a while, because we're not seeing people at conferences or at the stores or at gatherings or church, check in with them, see how they're doing, and maybe you can have a nice conversation. I was on a conversation today with a dear friend of mine who's also been sick lately, and she oh my goodness, she's like, Josie, I'm so glad you called. I feel so much better. And just us talking for 30 minutes helped her feel better, not so alone. And I felt better and not so alone. So, we're all pretty much in the same, kind of place right now, is what Gabriel's saying, that we're all doing the same thing. We're not out doing concerts if we're a rock star. We're not doing movies if we're a movie star. We're all at home and we're trying to connect. And we're able to connect through these channels like this one that we're, on these platforms. And but it's not the same as human connection, but we'll have that connection again. So again, if you guys can think of somebody that you haven't connected with and that comes to you intuitively, check in with them, and that could make the biggest difference for their day. Because you're probably going like, well, how am I going to bring light if I'm not even out and about anymore? Well, call people or text them and tell them that you care, or whatever those nice words are that you want to share with them. Because Gabriel says that we're all mirrors to each other. Of course, he mentions that every week. So when we say nice things to each other, that basically comes back to us. And if we say angry words, that's going to also come back to us. So it's like a boomerang. So he says it's much easier on us if we can just try to give words of encouragement versus words of hatred and anger in general. And Jim says it's about being present. Yes, it is. It's about being here right now in this moment is so important, and knowing that that we are here and caring for each other through even communication via Zoom or text or phone, whatever it is, if we can't see each other, because people are feeling very disconnected right now and they're confused. I know I have felt that way, like I mentioned, just from things that I've seen that have happened over the last week. So, and Jim says fear is counter to being present. I don't know. Fear is counter to being present. Well, fear is definitely real, and it is. I mean, it can be present at the present moment. So fear is present if that's how you feel at that moment. But it's about switching it over as fast as you can to peace rather than fear. Something opposite of fear: peace, joy, happiness, any of those things. If you can try to change your vibe by putting on some music. And then that's another thing, when we're talking about the language of the divine, music is so, I mean, we were just the different, notes of music and levels of the vibrations of music can help us in different ways. So I'm hoping I can get a guest on that knows a little bit more about the music and how because that hasn't really, I love music, and I know for me it helps me. I love listening to music and singing to music, but I'm not gifted as being a musician, and I've asked Gabriel that myself because he's so known for being the musician. angel as well. And I said, Gabriel, why can't I, play an instrument? Or I could play the flute, but that was, in school. Um, or have this beautiful voice, And he says, because then I wouldn't be speaking. He said, then, I would just be singing. And he has so many humans that bring a higher vibration through music. That all comes from, it's channeled. Most of the music that's out there is channeled, and musicians will tell you that, because I love hanging out with musicians. I know I have musician friends, and most of that is just the divine coming through them to share with each other. And that's another way to bring light. So if you're a musician right now, you could be recording and sending it off to people and say, hey, listen to what I just recorded. I mean, we can all have, this is a recording studio that I have right here called StreamYard. So, there's so many technical things where musicians can record from home and actually share that with each other. And he was also saying, I was talking to somebody who is a songwriter, and we were discussing, I said, you're a songwriter right now. You can't even make up the material that you can do right now to write a song or movie, right? I mean, the depth of the words of songs right now. So, songwriters should be writing songs, musicians should be writing music. All of that will be flowing through. That's the language of the divine. The language of the divine, a lot of times, and he's been telling me this for a long time, are no words. Words are translations of what's in my brain. When and so we filter, we translate through our own filters, words. So that's why they're so delicate and things like that. And that's why sometimes you say things that you quote unquote regret saying, because, it just kind of came through and you said, oh, didn't you have a filter? So words are different that way, but music flows through. Music will flow through, and it's very healing. I know that my friend Renee has talked about how healing it is when she plays her piano. It really balances her. And her neighbors are like excited because she plays it wonderfully, and so they get this wonderful music. She says not so much at 2 a.m, but no, just kidding. That was my joke. She doesn't play at 2 a.m. Okay, Chris, how do we know we are spending our energy on the right thing with all hardship and trials happening around us? Is there a sign that we should be looking for to let us know that we are spending our energy on is what is important in our life? Okay, keep that up for me, Deb, because there's two questions, it looks like, or two parts. So how do we know we are spending our energy on the right thing with all hardships and trials happening around us? Okay, so there's the whether we're spending our energy. How do we know? I'm trying to get that question right. How do we know that we are spending our energy correctly with all the hardships that we're going through? We don't know. And that's why we wonder. He says if we want to know if we're spending our energy correctly, we could intuitively do the things that we've talked about. But truly, if you want to know if you're spending your energy correctly, you will. I mean, when I said you won't know, it's just that you're going to do it and then you're going to question it. You're always going to question it. So he says, take the questions out of it and just do the next right thing, because these trials are making us stronger. These times that we're in right now, these trials that we're in, are building our spiritual muscles and our character muscles, whatever. I always said I have the most character because I've gone through, so I'm not a shallow person. So we are not going to be shallow humans after this experience, for sure. None of us are. We are all growing stronger, and I think everybody could feel that in a way, because we're digging deeper into our souls at the moment. We are all going through a spiritual experience together, because this is different for us. So he says to just do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. What you think, and there's no right or wrong, but do what you feel is going to bring a higher vibration to those around you and to the planet. So you can say that, I'm going to do this for the higher good. And these hardships are going to be my teachers. in the future. We're going to look back at this time as a time of schooling, of human schooling. We are learning right now. We are learning how to be more compassionate humans. We are learning whatever it is that we're doing, it's deeper than it's ever been. And so that's why these questions are coming up. And that's why we feel like this is such a hardship. He also says to try to use different words besides hardship. Because if you say words like hardship, hardship's going to keep coming. So he's always encouraging, again, the language. The language, the words are so important. And then that takes us to that piece of the language that they want to talk about. The law of attraction, the words that you put out will definitely come back. So if you use words like hardship, then you're going to have more hardship lessons. And so what I try to do when I'm going through a hardship is see the silver lining around it. I know that's difficult to see, but that's the only way I can get through my day sometimes. And whatever it is, whatever, if we can't see the silver lining of what's going on in our day, then we're going to only feel despair and sadness and hopelessness. So if we want to pull ourselves out of despair, sadness, and hopelessness, then he's saying find the silver lining, because there is silver lining in everything he promises. And I've never heard him promise before, but he's saying that it's going to be fine. We are okay. We may not feel okay, but we will be okay. We're going to get through this time. And then we're going to look back and be so grateful for every minute that we have of this world and in this life. We're going to come out of this different humans, he says, and it's going to be a good thing. It will be for most humans. He says not for every human, because everybody's different. But if you're a seeker and you're seeking for a higher place, and you know intuitively that this is all leading to a higher place, go with that intuition and continue down that path of the higher road and the higher vibrational words. Anything that you can do to turn that around from a hardship to a beautiful day, if you can. From a hardship situation, find something that is going to help you feel better. And knowing whatever it is that you can find deep inside that is good. Because even if you have to take it to basics and write a list of all the things that are in your life good versus all the things that are in your life are hardship or whatever, the things that are what you would call, fine in your life, and then you might say that are blessings in your life. Write a list of the blessings in your life, and then write a list of the, if you want to use the word, hardships in your life, or the things that are not such blessings in your life. But that way you can compare them, and then continue to write that list, almost like what Deb says, your gratitude list. But you can also call it a blessing list, so that you're going to write down the things, even you can put people in your life that are blessings to you. You can put that you have a home. Some people don't have a home, or whatever the situation is, or that now I don't have that job, but darn, I can go do another career. What do I want to do now? I have a clean slate. I can go and do the dream that I always had. Maybe you had a job for a long time that you felt forced to do, or that you felt obligated to do, and now that job's no longer there. So what is it that you really want to do? And take that time now, figure out, what is it I want to do? Maybe that's not what I was supposed to be doing, because I'm not doing it anymore. So go with that. And then you'll start feeling your hope, because you're going to say, wow, maybe now I'll take some classes online. I'm able to do that. You're probably able to do things now that you would not have been able to do 4 months ago, because you're not flying on a plane, you're not traveling, you're not going to meetings, or whatever it is. The hustle and bustle is basically no more. So that gives us a chance to really look at what it is that we want to do. And that's another topic, but that's a good question. Thank you. We are beings, this is from Renee, we are beings of vibration and light. We have a special bell system within the human body, which is the silver cord within each of us that has healing power and reacts favorably to certain vibrational frequencies. Conversely, other vibrational frequencies can adversely affect us, like 5G network, certain technologies, etc. It is hurting our brains and our body's innate ability to heal itself. So that was, thank you, that was a vagal system. Sorry about the typo. Thank you, Renee. So yes, that's a little bit about, thank you, Renee, for sharing that. That's the vibration that we were talking about. And, the different energetics that can affect us for sure. There's a lot of energy. I mean, Gabriel's saying certainly there's a lot of different energetic frequencies that are out there right now. And, again, if we can look at the quantum science behind everything, we can look at it, it all from a scientific, standpoint. It's there's science. And then, or to keep it simple for tonight's topic, we can just keep it at right now as well. But that is very true what Renee is saying, and I might have her on the show, so we could talk a little bit about that and the different frequencies, because she's the one who actually brought up the different frequencies for music and the videos that would be playing on before, and how frequencies can change our thoughts and our bodies and heal ourselves or make us tired or make us sick. So, there's definitely that part of everything. And Gabriel, of course, knows that certainly. That's just not necessarily my specialty, so I don't want to speak about it, but he could. But I think I'm going to just not right now, because that's not our topic. As I'm trying to, there were certain words in that I wasn't sure. Let's see it. So the 5G network and certain technologies. Yeah, that's true. We all know that. Clearing the space is good with, different sound machines that you have. Crystal bowls are wonderful to use. I use crystal bowls. You use the prayer bowls, all of those things, the chimes. Any type. If you're not a musician, I love doing crystal bowls. I'm not a musician, but I can play crystal bowls. I've got beautiful crystal bowls that will change the vibration and help me get into alignment. So, for something to do at home, if you want to ring bells, if you want to, to get into alignment, that will help as well. And to do bowls and drums and so forth. God is in every situation watching over us and guiding us through our trials and helping us to see the beauty in the brokenness. Yes, He is. He's with us in every situation. I like to say God is everything or God is nothing. I think we talked about that last week. And so, He is definitely with us at all times. Now, He says He's with us at all times, but not at all times are we calling on Him. So when we ask them and we ask God and we, for help, He's going to help. He's right there waiting. And, the angels that, all of our helpers on the other side, our ancestors, they're waiting to help us if we ask them for help. But if we're not going to ask for help, then, they're still going to, try to help us. But it comes a lot faster if we ask. He says it's fine to ask them. Of course, some people say, oh, don't ask for things from God. But God says, no, please ask me. He knows what we need, of course, but it's just that connection, because when you're asking Him, that means you're opening up that connection with Him, because you're having a conversation with Him. You're having a conversation of faith, basically a spiritual conversation with God. When you're believing that your words to Him are that He's hearing them, because He does. So that's that connection when you're in prayer. And again, it's all about the energetic of your prayer and intentions. Just in prayer for Rosemary's husband, Kenny, who is back in the hospital, and Rose says the doctors say he needs a spine surgery. Oh, we'll pray for Kenny, who's a dear friend of ours. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that, Carly. They're down in Cabo San Lucas. They retired there from here. And they came back home for a while, and Kenny said, take me back. I'd rather just, don't ever bring me back home. He loves it there. They've got a beautiful house on the beach. That's where he wants to live right now, and that's where he wants to live the rest of his life. So we just have to know that in God's hands he is, and he's exactly where he wants to be, because he made that clear when they were here last time. He said, no, I love it at the beach. That's where they retired. They spent 40 years of their life saving up to live on the beach in Cabo. So Kenny, and pray that Kenny will go home soon back to his house on the beach with Rosemary. I guess that's probably part of the problem of trying to, look too far into the future. And then when the future comes, who knows what we can do. So Gabriel's reminding us to live right now all that we can, because we can make future plans, but they may or may not work out depending on our physical bodies. So whatever we can do now, I encourage everybody to do that. And, that's pretty much the message. We're going to get ready to close out. I want to thank everybody again for participating and joining us tonight. I want to end with a little message from Gabriel. He's saying how much he loves you so much, and to thank you for joining us in these shows and asking the questions or receiving his messages. And when we're not here, thank you, Deb. We have Tri-Angels. That's a Facebook group. And that's where I encourage people to come and post beautiful messages. That's where you can talk with each other about the angelic realm, or any, pretty things that you want to post. I just love, posting your beautiful pictures or messages that would be, if you want to try angels. And that's where you can see my shows every week on Try Angels. And then I'll be doing different little groups on the side and stuff like that, or ideas. Oh, hi, Karen. I love you. Trust in your divine order and divine timing. Thank you. So trust in your divine order, your divine timing. Everything is perfect exactly the way it is. Thank you for sharing that and reminder, Karen. And with that, I will see you guys next week. I want to thank you again for joining. I hope this message was helpful to you. And with all love and grace, we will see you next week, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. And now I'm going to end the podcast.